I'm Neeraj Kavi, and what I'll be speaking on today is called The Actor as the Text. Acting by far is a very, very complex process. The craft is not easy to understand. So, there's a lot to talk about when you say the actor. It's a very complex word as well when you say the actor. When we are talking about the text, I'll try and make it as simple as I can for you today. You have a text, which is the play or the film script. You are the audience. You read this text, this film script. When you're reading this is your text, which has got words written in it. You are the audience reading these words. And you try to understand it in your own way, what these words mean and what they make you feel. Because it is left to your imagination how you perceive these words. Now, when you bring an actor in between the text and the audience, then the actor absorbs the text and the actor becomes the text. And this text, the book, the play, goes away. And what comes here now is the actor. So here's the actor and here's the audience, that's you. And you are now reading the actor. You are no more reading the play that was here. And you were the audience over here. In between now, you have the actor. So when the actor takes the text, the moment it begins to see it, or to read it, or to pronounce it, or to perform it, it is already interpreting the text. The text is no more the same. It's gone away now. What the audience is left to read is this supreme being, which is called the actor. The actor performs in various texts. There is a subtext, which is what the actor is thinking. There is a physical text, which is what the face and the body of the actor is performing. There is a verbal text, that is what the actor is speaking. And there is a context, that is within which purpose or reason the actor is performing this particular character and the scene. So there are four texts. There is the subtext, there is the physical text, which is the body and the face. There is a verbal text, which is what you speak, your sound. And then there is the context. This is performed by the actor, and you read these four texts inside this actor as an audience over here. The actor has got 5 elements to his instrument. The entire body of the actor is the instrument. He's got 5 elements to it. The mind, the breath, the face, the body, and the voice. I repeat that. The mind, the breath. So whatever you think, whatever over here, without saying, it will affect your breath. The way these two operate, your face will begin to express that automatically. Whatever these 3 things experience or feel, it will reflect in your body. And whatever these 4 feel and sense, it will reflect in your voice. Your voice is the last part of the instrument that expresses itself to the audience. All these 5 have to be functioning together. You change any one of them, any one, all 5 or all the other 4 will transform, will change. This is your text. This is the instrument. So when the audience is trying to see you, it is reading you. It is reading your face. It is reading your body. The audience is even reading what you're not saying, which is your subtext. And the way you're performing, the audience is even reading the context. When you speak a word, it is no more the written text in the play. It now becomes sound vibration. Every word becomes a vibration of sound as you speak it. And the audiences read that as well. When I say read, I don't mean with the eyes alone. You can't read a sound wave, but you can sense a sound wave. You can feel a sound wave. And with the physical body, when you perform something, there are waves coming out of your body as well, which are called the electromagnetic waves. They come out from your heart actually. How honestly you perform a role, with what integrity you perform a role, with what sensibility and intelligence you perform a role or the scene, that will reflect in the electromagnetic waves that come out of your heart and reach the camera or the audience is sitting over there. This is how the audience will sense and read you. That is why in the audiences sometimes they say, I am touched and moved by your performance. You have not really gone and touched them, or you have not moved them, but they are moved by it, they're touched by it. What they're saying is, they have sensed and felt you. Instead of the reading of the script or the text of the play, you have become the text, and they're reading and sensing you. This is primordial. This is what the actor is, the text. When you read from somewhere, you absorb it like a sponge and you begin to express that to the audience through your 5 elements of the instrument: your mind, your breath, your face, your body, your voice. You also express that through the 4 texts, which is subtext, physical text, verbal text, and context. Whenever one is performing as an actor, there are basically 4 departments of a performance. The audience may not know these 4 words, but they will have the sensibility somewhere, either in the heart or the eye or the mind over here, to sense these 4 divisions of a performance piece. It is defined very well in the Natya Shastra. They say that when the actor begins a performance, he begins with what you called the Vibhava state. It's called Vibhava. The initial beginnings, very simply speaking, of the performance. Which means you don't do anything at that time. You're simply sensing and being the scene. You're being the words. You're being the character. You're being what you're performing. The transformation is happening inside you, is the Vibhava state. Next you have the Anubhava state. Anubhava state. The state of being of the actor in the second part of his performance, where initially the actor now begins to move slightly, just for the next 2 or 3 seconds, where his breath transforms, his eyes move a bit, his face begins to contort a little, his body shifts a bit, just those initial stages. And then you have the Vyabhichari Bhava, which is the entire performance of the movement and the words that the actor is speaking. When he says all these things and he finishes his dialogue and his performance, there is a moment of the actor where he's doing nothing, but he's sensing what he has just done, like in real life. That moment when actually he does nothing, he's just sensing and being what he's just performed. That moment is called, or the state of being is called, Sthai Bhava. They say it is here, between the Vyabhichari Bhava and the Sthai Bhava, where the rasa happens. Rasa, very loosely translated, is the emotion. Very loosely. Rasa theory is very complex, but very loosely translated, that's where the audience is with you, is being with you and feeling and sensing you. That is why the audiences are called Rasikas, because they experience the rasa with you. The power of the rasa depends on the training of the actor. So when you are bestowed or given the responsibility of being the text, then you have a huge responsibility as a performer to train your physical self, your mental self, your verbal self. Which is why they say the actor has to be a very intelligent person, very well read, very well experienced with life. You have to experience life. You have to go out there and mingle with life. Get all kinds of experience that you can, which you haven't earlier. And that's where you are not you. Because if you're only going to be you all the time in your life, then you may not experience life completely, because you will have your own prejudices, your own ego, your own fear, and you will not interact with life. So the idea of becoming the actor's instrument, from you to the actor's instrument, is to let go of yourself and experience life in a way that you would not otherwise. So you leave your fear and your ego and you go and experience everything you can in life, in humanity, and do this as a regular practice. That's what actors do. So we are not ourselves when we go out and experience life. We are ourselves, but at the same time we are not. Because there are many things which we don't like, but we go and do it. Why? Because we need those experiences. The whole purpose of acting is to represent human life, human feelings, human emotions, human relationships, humanity at large. That's why people come to watch you. 300, 400 people sitting in the theater and watching you, because they want to experience life again. Not that they haven't, they have. But in those 2 hours or 1.5 hours, you invite them into a much deeper sense of one slice of life that you want them to experience and feel. Not life at large. You can't do that in the theater or the cinema. You can't express everything about life. You take out a slice of life and you experience that yourself, and you take that experience to the audiences. That is the process of the actor. He uses all his texts to take his experience to the audience. Merely experiencing it yourself is not called acting. The whole transaction that after you've experienced yourself, you give it or surrender it to the audience, that process is the acting process. If they don't feel what you are feeling, then that is not acting. That does not complete the circle of acting. You might say you feel it completely, your text is perfect, but the text is not reaching out to the audience. The purpose of the actor is to reach out to the audience or to the camera. Of course, in film it's slightly different. The camera actually goes deep inside you and digs out a lot of things from you. It watches you very closely. In the theater, the beautiful thing about the theater is it's live, and the whole space is where the actor stands alone. And the audience is continuously reading you. Your voice are the sound waves, the words that you speak from Shakespeare, from Tagore, from Tendulkar, from anybody, from Girish Karnad, from anybody. It can be just anybody. And that's where you experience everything. The audiences read and sense the sound vibrations. And that's where that becomes very powerful about you. So they're not seeing a Shakespeare play. They're watching the actor, they're reading the actor, and they're sensing Shakespeare. They're not reading Shakespeare. This is the beauty about the performer and his texts. How do we do all this as actors? We train. We train enormously. We train our physical body. Our physical body is trained by various scientific body forms. And those scientific body forms, to begin with, are yoga asanas. Asanas are static postures. There are yoga mudras and there are yoga asanas. They are static postures which make you sense a particular feeling. So there is the Majarasana. There is the Bhujangasana. There are many kinds of asanas. There are animal postures that will make you sense and you bring those sensibilities into your physical intelligence. We work on Kalaripayattu, which is the martial art form. There are many positionings of the physical body, and you stay in those positionings. It's movement, it's not like yoga. Kalaripayattu is movement of the yogasanas. The Kalaripayattu postures are also from the yogasanas, which is why this is practiced by the Indian actor, to be able to sense the physical intelligence. We work on Kathakali and Chau. Chau is a masked dance form. So when you wear the mask of your face is invisible. The mask appears as if it is crying. The mask appears as if it is laughing or it is in love. The mask is static. The actor inside is becoming the text, the physical text, the verbal text, the subtext. And it is pouring out the text into the mask. And the mask is reflecting that sensibility. So you see the mask and you feel it is crying. The actor inside the mask is crying. And the power of the performance will reflect the power of the mask to the audience, which is why Chau dance, which is in the east of India, is an important training for the Indian actor. These are the physical training formats. Kathakali works hugely on face expressions, breath, and mudras. So when the Kathakali dance is performing, all kinds of mudras are used. So the fingers are expressing. They become a text. And that's what the actor uses. We don't stylize it. We learn the stylized forms by which we are able to now imbibe it and express it in realism. But these techniques are important for us to train in. We then go on to breath techniques, which are the pranayams. There are various kinds of breath techniques in Kudiyattam, for example. How fear, how tragedy, which is called Karuna. There are so many kinds, there are Navarasas, and there are breath patterns connected with those Navarasas. And you practice those breath techniques because that breathing is what reflects on your face and your body and your voice. Breath technique is very crucial for the actor. This is how the actor trains. He reads a lot. Poetry, paintings, literature. So when you do an exercise, try this if you can. Take a painting of, let us say, Rembrandt or Vincent van Gogh and try and see that painting and try and express that to an audience. When you do that, don't show the painting to the audience. After you've expressed it, turn the painting around and show it to the audience and ask them, is this what you saw and felt? They might see what you're saying because you can describe it, but is that what they're feeling? Just the way the artist drew it. If they can't, then you got to get back to that exercise again and do it multiple times till you really reach a point where your sound waves become that painting. And in the space, you're able to create the painting exactly the way Rembrandt did with his brush. You are doing it as an actor with your voice. This is the importance of the voice, the vibrations, the sound vibrations. When people listen to the words of a text, they're listening to an actor because the actor gives away sound vibrations, which is what touches them. I find these very interesting actually, the whole process of training. And then you living your life, you're doing the smallest of work in the day. जिसे हम दिनचर्या कहते हैं, जब आप सुबह उठते हैं आप करते क्या है? By the way, the actor wakes up very early in the morning, 4 a.m. That's the prime time for the actor. You have to rise very early for all your training because all your physical training should be done very early in the morning, all your breath techniques. Try and see if you can learn Dhrupad, for example. Actors learn and train in classical singing. When you learn classical singing, there are ragas. Every raga has a mood. And the classical singer sings this for life, literally. Just to get that mood correct. They sing Rag Yaman just to get that devotional sense of romance. And they do it for years and years and years, practicing hours together. till they get that sense. That's how the actor trains. This training is very crucial for the performer because you're representing not yourself, not the character, not the scene, not the play, something much larger than that. You come on stage and within that space, you are actually representing the universe. Your sensibilities and your spine is very, very active. Your chakras in the center, the 7 chakras that you have, are very, very active. You represent to the audience. Your spine is working behind. It has to work because your nervous system is connected with the spine. So the nervous system has to work. At the same time, the center, the frontal body has to work. And you train in these things. There are training methodologies, how to activate all this, how to activate your spine, how to activate your chakras. As you're doing all this work, you become the text, you represent everything. Every time you're performing, you're creating causes in a performance that are happening, ripple effects as you proceed through the play on stage. Every word you say, every action you do is creating ripple effects. It's called cause and effect. Every time you're moving, you're creating a cause. What is a cause and an effect? Very simply, if you are, let's say you have a debate with your close friend and an argument, and that gets into a heated argument and aggression, and then you start shouting at each other, and then you leave. That was the cause. What is the effect? That you left. It may not have broken your friendship, but you've left. That is the effect. The actor in a space creates causes and effects continuously. He is continuously moving in 3 realms. As he is performing with a co-actor, or he is doing a monologue, or he is doing a soliloquy, that is standing alone and performing in front of the audience. He is completely and all the time, continuously transcending 3 layers. 3 layers. The first layer is called looking at things as they are, where he does not judge what he is speaking. He does not judge what his co-actor is doing or telling him. He just is an observer of it while he's performing. At the same time, he is reacting to whatever is happening in that scene, to his co-actor, to the lines he's speaking, to the costume he's wearing, to the props that he is working with, to the space. And the third, he is responding. As he's reacting, he is responding. What is responding? Responding is reacting or working within a context. If I were to take an example, Gandhi's context was non-violence. So even if the opponent did a violent act on him, even when the British did that on him, his reaction was anger inside. Maybe, we don't know. But he responded non-violently because non-violence was his context. That is how all work happened. That is what the text of the actor is. This is the way he's working throughout. And just to recap it for you, there are 5 elements to the actor: the mind, the breath, the face, the body, the voice. He's got 4 texts which he performs all the time. The subtext, which is thinking in his mind. The verbal text, which is speaking. The physical text, the body and the face. And the context. Every time he works within 3 areas: looking at things as they are, reacting, and responding. Whenever he's performing, there is a vibhava state of being, there is an anubhava state, there is a vyabhichari state, and there is a sthai bhava. What he represents is humanity at large. Just as in a written text you have full stop, comma, semicolon, pauses, the actor performs those full stop, semicolon, full stops, and commas. There are paragraphs in the actor's performance. And that's how he becomes the text. Well, to build a character, very, very quickly is that you need to first define the character very clearly and a philosophy by which the character lives by. When you perform a character, you have to research that character to understand that you're playing the mind of the character. There is a physical preparation to the character, there is a psychological preparation, an emotional preparation. But primarily, you work on the subtext of this character. The definition is very, very important. The clarity of what you want to perform is very, very crucial. And if I will give you the example of, let's say, performing a biopic like Gandhi, then the definition of Gandhi has to be very clear. What is your understanding of what Gandhi is? And then you go deeper into the philosophy of this character. What you're performing at large is the philosophy of this character. But the character without the physical intelligence will not work. That transformation is very, very crucial. Acting very loosely, actually, one of the definitions, there are millions of definitions. Very loosely, one of the definitions of acting, which I like a lot, is acting is the transformation of the body, the mind, the heart, and the soul of the actor into that of the character. That kind of transformation the actor attempts. Very difficult to transform your soul into that of the character, but you attempt that as closely as you can. That transformation is the kind of characterization I do myself as an actor. I believe in that a lot, that sense of transformation. So you become absolutely what you're going to now perform. So if I'm supposed to perform, let's say, just a static chair, then I become that chair. I do everything, which is why actors' exercises are very, very psychological in nature. All actor rehearsals are very powerful when you watch them as an audience, because they themselves reflect human psychology and how it is processed. So when you have all this definition, you process all this information. The actor is a information processing machine. Yeah, I will leave it at this and let's go to some more questions. What makes a good, Sagar says, what makes a good scene partner in the theatre performance? All that I spoke about the actor as the text. If your partner also becomes the text, then that is a great scene partner in the theatre. If your actor is only coming to react to what you're doing, then it may not go a long way because he will be dependent on you all the time. So mere reaction is not acting. Improvising only is not acting. It is a combination of everything. It's a combination of reacting, responding, being real, taking real life experiences, improvising, everything put together. Doing only reactions, only improvising will not take something deeper, or may not take something deeper. I cannot say will not. Maybe some actors have achieved it with that. So it would be wrong of any actor to say, this is the right method. There is no right method. Everybody is exploring and discovering. Good evening, Ashok. Johanna Hassan says, as there are COVID crisis, we can't really take any classes. Please suggest some breathing exercises. You can do a lot of breath exercises from yoga asanas, which are called the pranayam. And there's a lot of pranayam techniques online, which good teachers will teach you. The other important, far more important for the actor, is to learn breath techniques of Kudiyattam. Kudiyattam is a dance theatre form of the South. You can actually learn that online. There are sessions that are there. The third thing you can do with breath is to learn Natya Shastra and do workshops in the Natya Shastra technique. They teach you a lot of breath techniques. So here's what you can actually do online. So how do you select? So Sonal says, how do you select your role and what homework do you do to perform a particular character? I select my role. First of all, I should not be repeating that role again and again and again. If I'm doing that, I don't select that. And also it depends on what context that role is in the entire script, whether it's a play or a film. I figure out, so I have to read the entire thing. I need to know the entire script, and which is what all actors need to know, by the way. You have to know the entire script, literally, by heart, if possible, not just your lines. So when you know the entire script, you understand the context in which you are relevant in that play or that film. That is how I choose my roles, my relevance of the character. It's not about having a big or a small role. It is how relevant am I? And what am I adding to that sense of humanity, human feelings, human relationships to that film or to that play? If I'm not, then I mostly don't pick up a role. And my homework, of course, is very enormous, because I do a lot of homework when I go on set. I cannot work on the spur of the moment. I've tried it sometimes, it has worked, but I'm not comfortable. I'm not happy. I like to go all armed and equipped like a soldier. So my homework is research, a lot of reading on the character. My homework is also a physical regime which I make for myself, which means I make a permutation combination of yoga asanas, chow dance forms, Kathakali, and Kalaripaya too. I put all of these and I select certain pieces of these and I put them all together and create a routine which I do every day. That creates my character, my physical character. So if you see in Ship of Theseus, the character looked different. In Byomkesh Bakshi, the character looked different. The entire standing, the shoulder, the face, everything was different. In Talwar, it was very, very different. I'm using film references because most of you may not have seen my theatre work. So my films are more relevant right now for you to see. You can see them. So that's why I'm taking these examples. As DCP Parulkar, again, the whole structure of Parulkar was different. The whole making of it was different. In Avrodh, which is my recent web series, the whole physicality is very, very different. It's burdened, it's heavy, and yet it's very, very powerful and confident. So you use this, it affects the intelligence of your body. How do you perform a character that may be a far cry from a certain reality? Well, I think that's what most characters are. They are a far cry from certain reality because most of them are a figment of imagination. Some of them are based on a personal life experience of the writer. And that's where he comes in. Like Maxim Gorky, when he writes his own work, he writes a lot about the struggles of his life, the poverty that he went through, and that comes forward very powerfully. When you see Charlie Chaplin performing certain characters, the whole of his life comes forward. You know, it's almost like saying he's performing his own biopic. In every film, if you put all Chaplin's films together, that's his biopic. Because he performs his life, right from the time he was a young boy, to the time his mother was with him, his father was a drunkard. I mean, there was a whole family background to Chaplin. And he put that forward very, very powerfully. I'm sorry I'm talking about his family so openly, but with due respect, he performed all that. And that is why he took the tool of comedy to be able to put forward what he wanted to say. Because if he took Karuna, which is tragedy, and he put forward his tragic life again in front, that may not have had that kind of an effect. So Shabana ji asks about, I was talking about the truth of the moment where the preparation must only be a trigger. Shabana ji, I have not really explored this element of performance. I've always learned when I was learning in my learning stages. This is where I was when I was learning, and I experienced this a lot, that what if the preparation is only a trigger? How do you search for the truth of the moment? The beauty about this is when you prepare and come, what you're doing is you're not using those tools right there and opening it up in front of the audience. Your preparation is what creates the text that you are. Your preparation is what creates the instrument that you are. So when you come in the space of the theater, or when you come in the space of the camera for a film, your entire preparation is inside you. The preparation helps you to search for the truth The preparation helps you in the midst of another co-actor who you may have rehearsed with or may not have rehearsed with. And what he brings in that space for you becomes a place of experimentation. You are able to grasp and to deal with that certain surprise that you're met with from moment to moment. If you know everything that you're doing, then you're losing the very moment of life, the very breath of life. Your breath will become stale if you know what you're going to do next. But if you leave it open with the entire preparation and leave it to come on that space and to say, I now want to find or search for the truth of this scene, of who I am, of my character and my interaction with my co-actor or my co-actors, then that truth will begin to reveal itself. And that interaction, that play that you will have with the search of the truth and digging into the truth and coming out of it, that little play that you do, that becomes the Leela. That becomes the whole performance for you. But if your preparations are seen by the audience, then that's not a very healthy thing to do, because then you're showing off your tools. That cannot be done by the actor. That is why preparations are done so much that they simply act as a trigger as you come into that space. I hope that somewhere justifies the answer to your question, Shivanaji. What do you prefer, sir, a movie or a web series? Pratham asks this. It really doesn't, and it should not really matter, at least for me, what is the platform of my performance. My job as an actor is to land within a particular space and to engulf that space inside me and to also be a part of that space. It works in this dualism. It does not matter if the space is theater, if the space is web series, if the space is a movie, if the space is even on the road, if the space is simply under a coconut tree. Wherever the actor is, wherever he stands, that becomes a performance area, because he is the actor and his aura, whoever he is. When I say he, I also means he and she. It is not the meaning of just addressing one gender, with due respect. So when the performer is over there, the choice of the space is not the choice of the performer. The performer focuses on the performance. The space can be anything. Which is your favorite stage show which you perform or which you saw as an audience? I had done and performed Hamlet in a play by Tom Stoppard, which was called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. That was one of my favorite performances that I remember, even the play. And I was doing that on stilts as an actor. So we did a lot of outdoor performances. Even at the Prithvi Theatre in Mumbai, we performed it, and many spaces in the country. But I was performing that on stilts, and it was a stylized version of Hamlet. Because the tragedy of this character, I felt, could best be shown if it has a sense of stylization and a sense of comicality to it. Because within that was the underneath layer of his tragedy, his personal tragedy. Which particular play, director, or writer has influenced you the most? I would say William Shakespeare. As a writer, I have really been influenced by this writer a lot. With due respect to everybody, but this writer suddenly has come across very, very powerfully to me. He's a very simple writer. I always found Shakespeare very simply. He writes the text and the subtext together for the actor. It makes it very simple for you. Most of his writing is like that. Favorite director? I would not like to go public on that. But yes, writer, yes. Sukanta Raut says, we sometimes hear of people talking of high drama. Please tell about your perception about much high the moment of drama needs to be taken in order to keep the audience in their seats. I don't think drama is what the reason is for the audience to just sit there and watch you. Drama is the context within which you're performing. The whole performance is drama, whether it's film or the theater. It's human drama. You're part of it. You don't have to heighten it or enlighten it more. The heightening of it is already there in the text. What you need to do is to search for the truth of it. And if the truth allows you the space to heighten the drama, then you do it. You don't do it because you want to reach out to the audience. Reaching out, the sense of reaching out is very, very different from heightening and making it more dramatic. That's not the job of the actor. That may be that if you're merely entertaining the audiences or thrilling the audiences, then probably if you want to, you can work on heightening certain things so that that reaches the audiences and creates that sense of entertainment in them, but not otherwise. Not otherwise. Kindly expand on sympathy and empathy. Very, very simply speaking, I will not go into details because these are complex words by themselves. Sympathy is when you are judging somebody and you're sympathizing because you feel that you've judged that person or the character and you feel whatever you're feeling and you sympathize. Empathy is when you don't judge anything. You're empathizing, you're accepting everything that is there, which is the neutral state, is what I spoke of earlier. When you perform, you're continuously traveling the 3 levels or the layers as a performer. So you're reacting to something, you're seeing things as they are, and you're also responding to that scene or the character. All the 3. So when you do that, you're empathizing. As an actor, you never judge even the character you're performing. You never say, I'm performing the role of a villain. You leave that to the audience. The audience decides if you're a villain. You don't say, now I'm performing romance or Shringara. You leave that to the audience. You perform the mind of the character. You perform the action of the character. You leave the rest to the audience. They should decide if that's a villain or that's not a villain. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for being here today. It was a pleasure. And I loved the silence with which you received and listened. I didn't see any questions coming till 4:30, and what a pleasure that was. It's a very sensitive audience. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Coconut Theatre for giving me this opportunity and doing this wonderful job of putting on online sessions. What an incredible work they're doing. And they're putting in such amazing artists. Some of the best artists you can think of in our country are coming forward and are taking sessions online. And with due respect to all of them, so many of them are such seniors that you literally bow your head to them to say thank you and all gratitude for them to come online and to share their experiences. Thank you very much.